I literally look like I'm about to go on a safari or something. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. So today's video is one that I've had written down for a while and I don't really remember when I decided to film this video, but we're filming it today. And that is for me to tell you my opinion on certain topics. Now I do have some strong opinions, especially when it comes to animal care, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to know your own thoughts and have opinions on certain things. So I asked on both of my Instagram accounts for you guys to send in things for me to share my opinions on. So we're going to have a look at them now and I'm going to talk you through some of my opinions on certain topics. So as I said before, I did ask for opinions on both of my accounts. I do have a personal account and also an Instagram for my rats and mice. A lot of people don't realise my rats and mice also have an Instagram which has a lot more followers than me, rightfully so, but that is actually where this whole channel stems from, so definitely make sure you are following them. But we're going to start with some of the opinions on my personal account. So the first one is, what is your opinion on people walking cats on leads? Now I actually love when people do this. I really appreciate people that have their cats as indoor cats, but they still need stimulation and enrichment, so walking your cats on a lead is a safe way to give them this. And I did have a client recently, if you don't know, I do pet sitting on the side as well as YouTube, so I did have a client recently who had an indoor cat and I had to walk the cat on a harness and a lead, and that was so much fun. So the next one is, what is your opinion on introducing big animals, cats, dogs, etc. to small animals, bunnies, rats, etc. Now personally, I don't like to see this on social media. I think if you do have a predator species like a cat and you do want to introduce it to your prey species like a hamster or a rat, I think if you have that trust in your animal that they're not going to attack your smaller animal, then fair enough, put your trust in your own animals. But I personally don't think it's a good idea to share this on social media, because anyone could see that and think, oh, I'm going to introduce my cat to my rats, and it could go very wrong. So big disclaimer there, don't introduce your prey animals to your predator animals if you're not confident in the fact that it is going to go okay and no one's going to get injured. Rats can also really bite your dogs or cats, so I would definitely be careful with that, and it's definitely not something that I advocate for doing. Next we have, what is my opinion on me, from Victoria Rachel, and my opinion is that I love you very much. What is your opinion on people who think it's okay to buy tiny cages for their rats or mice? My opinion is that these people should try living their entire lifespan just in a bathroom, and I'm not talking like a luxurious American bathroom, I'm talking like a tiny English bathroom. Try to live your entire life in that tiny bathroom and see how you like it. What is your opinion on hamster balls? Personally, I don't like hamster balls. I think hamsters are a bit ridiculous in the fact that if you put anything in front of them, they will climb into this, because that's just the nature of a hamster. So the argument that the hamster enjoys going in the ball isn't really valid, because hamsters will literally crawl into anything you put in front of them, whether it's a mug or a hamster ball. And they also don't offer much ventilation, and the hamster or the mouse, anything you're putting into that ball, can't decide whether it wants to get out or not, so it can be really stressful to them. Also, they're like running around in their own pee and poop, which isn't very nice, and also the tiny little air holes which are meant for ventilation, which don't really offer much ventilation at all. They can get their nails and their toes caught in these, so all around I do think hamster balls are a no-no. What is your opinion on naked rats? Now I've upset a few people in the past sharing my opinion on naked rats, but personally I don't want to own a naked rat or support the breeding of naked rats, because I just wouldn't want to deal with all of the health issues that can come with having a naked rat. They can be a lot more prone to abscesses and things because they are easily scratched, and then these can develop into abscesses, and they're also really prone to having eye infections and eye issues. So personally I wouldn't want to own a naked rat, and in general I do prefer how rats with fur look. I'm not really the biggest fan of how naked rats look. I do think they are still cute because I find rats cute in general, but I do definitely prefer my rats to have fur, and you probably won't be seeing me with a naked rat anytime soon or anytime in the future, unless I ended up in a situation where I desperately had to take in a naked rat that really needed a home. You probably won't see me with a naked rat anytime soon. What is your opinion on socks in bed? I don't trust anyone that wears socks to sleep. That is like the most uncomfortable thing ever. What is your opinion on people saving rats and mice from snake food? Now this is a tricky one. I do appreciate people are going out and saving those individual rats and mice from their inevitable fate of dying and becoming food, but snakes do need to eat, and these mice and rats are being bred with the purpose of being food. They're not necessarily being bred to be pets. I know some of them can make good pets, but they're not necessarily being bred with like health and temperament in mind, so I think a lot of people may go out and save these rats from feeder bins. We don't have feeder bins in the UK if you didn't know, so that's not even an option for me, so I don't really know how I would feel in that situation. But I think in that situation, even if you are going and saving those individual rats and mice, you do still have to kind of think of the bigger picture. If you are giving money towards buying those rats and mice to prevent them from being food, that is giving money towards the industry that is breeding these rats and mice, and they will just be replaced with new feeder rats very soon. So the cycle will continue if you do continue to put money into it. But I do appreciate that people see these rats and mice and want to take them out of that situation. As I said, I don't think I'll ever come across a feeder bin, so I don't really know what I'd do in that situation, but I think it is a bit of a tricky one. What is your opinion on parents giving pets to children? Personally, I think any parent that is buying their children pets should also want that animal and be fully prepared to care for it if and when their children get bored. I think as an adult, if you are buying an animal, if your children are under 18 years old, then you are actually legally responsible for caring for that animal. So if you're buying your children pets, you should definitely want them in your home and be prepared to look after them if your children aren't willing to do that after they get bored, or initially if they just don't show much interest. What is your opinion on keeping male mice together? Personally, I don't think it's worth the risk. I know it can work for some people, but you never know when those mice are going to switch and attack each other, even if they are related and if they are brothers. So I think if you are wanting to keep male mice, you do need to look at other options, such as housing them with African soft-furred rats or neutering them and housing them with females. I definitely do not advocate for keeping male mice together. What is your opinion on keeping aggressive rats alone? So again, this is another tricky one because it does depend on the individual circumstances and the individual rat. But I think if you've exhausted all other options with an aggressive rat and you're trying to introduce them to multiple different rats and it just isn't working and they are severely injuring other rats, I think sometimes it can get to a point where it's not safe for the other rats to continuously be injured and possibly even killed if you do have a very, very aggressive rat. So I think in those circumstances, sometimes in very rare cases, those rats do have to live alone. But you definitely want to make sure you've tried all of the other options before you do say that that rat has to live alone, especially neutering. Neutering can really help with aggression, and I think if you can't neuter a rat for whatever reason, if you can't afford to, I think it's definitely worth trying to find someone else who can help with that rat, who is more experienced with rat aggression and can afford to neuter them and possibly put them with other rats as they are meant to live. I think it's definitely worth not thinking of yourself and being selfless for the rat and trying to find someone who can help in the situation, who is perhaps more experienced and can help that rat live the best life possible. What is your opinion on rats going outside? Personally, I don't really see the need in taking my rats outside, and I do get a bit nervous when I see other people taking their rats outside. I'm not talking like putting them in a secure run or a cage in the garden. I'm talking like walking them on a harness or something. That does make me very nervous because rats are very good at escaping and slipping out of harnesses and things, and there's far too many risks outside, such as dogs, cats, other things that could potentially hurt your rat if they see them and you don't act quick enough. And rats also do have very sensitive eyes, so having them out in the sunlight for long periods of time isn't the best thing for them. So I don't really have the want or desire to take my rats outside, and I'm not the biggest fan of other people doing it, although if it works for you and your rats, fair enough. What is your opinion on breeding mice rats specifically to be fed to snakes? Do you think it's possible? Now this might shock you, but I actually have a lot of respect for anyone that does breed their own feeder mice or rats. I think if you don't want to support the mass breeding and the rodent mills, and you do decide to ethically breed your own rats and mice, as long as you are giving them everything they need whilst they are alive and caring for them, I think it is okay to breed your own feeder mice and rats because you're giving them a better life than the rats you may find frozen in stores that are bred in rodent mills. So I do actually have a lot of respect for anyone that does decide to breed their own rats and mice for food, because I do want to give them the best life possible before the inevitable happens, so I have a lot of respect for people that do that. What is your opinion on Kim K's daughter's hamster care? Now if you haven't seen this floating around on social media, or if you don't watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kim Kardashian's daughter got a hamster and she's keeping it in a critter trail. Now this hamster did actually die and they ended up replacing it, but the hamster is living in a cage that is far too small and the wheel is far too small and there's nothing for it to do. So personally I think this is really disappointing because plenty of people are tweeting Kim with proper hamster advice, and I don't think she's taking it on board. She didn't want the hamster in the first place, but it's really disappointing when someone that has probably the most amount of money in the world can't put that towards getting their hamster a decent size enclosure. There's really no excuses. Even if you are on a budget, you can give them a bin cage and stuff. So for someone that is that rich to not be taking the best care of their hamster, it's very disappointing. Someone said, what is your opinion on bug pets like cockroaches and spiders? Would you ever get them? So I actually have dubia roaches, so I guess that kind of counts, right? But I love insects, just not spiders. What is your opinion on keeping only 2 rats instead of a group? Personally, I think it is better to have a group of rats, just in case of the scenario if one of your rats does pass away, you're not left with a lone rat. I've been in that situation and it was horrible to see my lone rat become very withdrawn and depressed, so personally I do think having a group is better and the dynamic between them is better, but if you do have to have a pair, that is obviously better than just having one. I do get a lot of people mad at me when I say you need 2 or more rats, but these people are aiming for 3 or a group. But I think when it comes to someone that is housing their rat alone and they do have a single rat and you're trying to persuade them that they do need to house their rats in pairs or groups, it's a lot easier to persuade someone that is in this mindset that that is okay to get 1 more rat than it is to get 2 or 3. So it's baby steps with these people, and that's the reason why I say 2 or more. Obviously I know that having a group is better, but for someone that is only having 1 rat and doesn't know that this isn't okay, it's a lot easier to persuade them to get 1 more rat than it is to have a group that can be probably a bit overwhelming to them if they're used to having only 1 rat and don't know that that isn't okay. And the last one is, what is your opinion on indoor, outdoor cats who are not spayed or neutered? I think if you're not a breeder, it is really important to make sure all of your cats are neutered, whether they are indoor or outdoor. Your indoor cat could possibly escape and contribute towards the problem, and the problem is that there's far too many cats in rescue centres. Annually, a lot of kittens get dumped at rescue centres by people who let their cats outside and they're not spayed and neutered and they're having continuous litters. So the problem is very, very real, and I think everyone should aim to spay or neuter their cats because there's far too many in rescue centres and we don't need any more unwanted cats in the world than there already is, and there's far too many taking up space in rescue centres, so definitely spay and neuter your cats. So that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you for listening to all of my opinions on these topics. Make sure you are subscribed to see any future animal related videos from us, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye!